Hi viewers, so far I explained about the various parts, various components and various systems of the automobile. Now this video I am going to talk about the air system maintenance. In the previous videos we talked about the air system, circuit, various components of the air system and how the air system will work in a diesel engine. Whereas in this video, I am going to talk about how the air system has to be maintained. Friends, please watch videos number 19, 20 and 21 for the detailed explanation about the air intake system, that is the air circuit, and how the different components in the air circuit works in a diesel engine. In this video, let us focus our discussion about the maintenance of the air intake system. Observe this triangle. As discussed, three elements are required to produce the power inside the engine. The number one is the oxygen. Number two is the fuel. Oxygen is available in the atmosphere. Fuel is in the form of petrol or diesel. Then the heat, which is generated in the compression process. In any engine, efficient combustion is possible with appropriate quantity and quality of air and the appropriate quantity and quality of the fuel. For your information, air fuel ratio in the petrol engine will be normally it will be 14.8:1. That is, for every 14.8 kgs of air, 1 liter petrol is required. In case of diesel engine, this air fuel ratio varies 18:1 to 70:1 depending upon the engine design. This is the animation how the internal combustion diesel engine works, drawing the air when the inlet valve is open, then compressing by closing both valves, and power is generated when the fuel is injected. Then the power is generated. The piston is pushed downwards like that. The engine starts rotating. Just have a look about the fuel. We must use clean fuel. That is, a clean fuel pumping station looks like this. See here the dirty fuel pumping station. This is the problem. Whatever the dirt is there on this fuel pump may go along with this fuel to the tank and it enters to the engine fuel injection system, damaging the injectors, pump components, etc., leading to the premature failure of the engine. Same way, it is essential to pump the clean air. See how this car is running on a good highway and how this vehicle is running on a dusty roads. Out of this dust, fine dust particles, they even pass through the filter element and enters inside the engine. Here, also same thing. When the fine dust particles which are beyond the filter capacity, when they enter inside the engine, they mix with the lubricating oil at the valve, valve seats, piston rings, piston, bearings, etc., causing the premature wear and tear of the components and also premature overhauling of the engine. So it is essential to pump the clean air. When such situation arises, it is essential to find out the alternative ways of the suppressing the dust in the haul roads. This is the schematic view of the air intake system. This blue block we can see, this is all the air intake system. Right from here, ambient air, this is the filter, then goes to the turbocharger, this is the turbocharger, compressor wheel. From here, the air is pumped inside the charge air cooler, that is the intercooler. The air is cooled here and then enters inside the engine through the valves. So this particular blue portion is the air intake circuit. Which are all the factors contributing for the air intake quantity? Okay. First one is the filter element, from where the atmospheric air enters in the engine. This is the one type of the paper filter element used in the engines. Nowadays, In majority of the engines, more than 95% of the engines, only paper element is being used. Unlike the olden days where they used to use the oil bath filters. This is the paper element. When you cut this paper element, it looks like this. This is made with a special type of paper arranging in a fleets like this. The quantity of the air entering inside the engine depends upon the area of this filter paper. That's why you have to be careful. Some people will sell the spurious filters. Externally, the size of the filter may look same with the genuine filter. But when you cut this paper element, the area of the filter will be smaller. The number of fleets in the paper element will be lesser. So it is essential to use only genuine filters. Suppose this is the paper. Air normally enters from outside the filter element to the inside. It passes like this. From atmosphere it comes here, enters inside and goes to the engine through the turbocharger. Here you can see this is the airflow. Whatever the dust particles are here in the air, they are stopped here, this side of the filter. So clean air goes into the engine. As I told you, still very fine dust particles will however pass through this paper. 100% filtration is not at all possible. The best efficient filtration will be in the range of 95 to 98%. If you look this paper element through the microscope, the structure of the paper looks like this. Through these gaps, air flows. As I told you, the quality of the paper and the area of the paper, they are the two most important. Why? Because again I am telling you, the amount of the air entering inside the engine is depending upon the area of the filter element and also the quality of the filter element. If the filter element is having two large holes, that paper is having two large holes, the coarse particles from the air enters inside the engine, causing premature failure of the engine. If these holes are too small, the filter element clog rapidly, completely obstructing the air passage inside the engine, causing overheating of the engine, drop in the efficiency of the engine. After the paper element, then comes to the piping, that is various pipes involved in the air circuit. You can see right from turbocharger, these pipes, these are the hoses, these are the steel pipes, again these are the rubber hose, these are the clamps, this is the intercooler or charge air cooler. Again you can see hoses, clamps, so many things and all. This is one hose which looks like this. When you observe this figure, this particular figure, this particular design is having a lot of vents and a lot of pipes, which is not desirable. If you want to maintain an efficient system, the number of vents should be as minimum as possible, and there should be minimum number of bends, and also those bends should not be sharp like this, all 90 degrees here, 90 degrees here, 90. There should not be sharp bends like this. The bends should be very smooth at wider angle, and the bend should be minimum possible. Then only air will pass freely without much restriction. The too many bends and too many sharp bends causes the restriction in the airflow, leading to the insufficient air passing to the engine and also creating a kind of back pressure on the turbocharger. Then comes to joints, hoses and clamps. Here they have shown particularly one hose. So there will be maybe 4 to 5, 6 hoses like this. So it is very essential to monitor these hoses and clamps at regular intervals. What happens? If these clamps are loose, unfiltered air will go inside the engine. If the clamps of the hoses before the turbocharger is loose, the unfiltered air will go inside the engine. If the clamps of the hoses after the turbocharger, that is between turbocharger and the inlet valve are loose, whatever the air is coming out of the turbocharger will be lost to the atmosphere. So the air starvation will be there to the engine. That is dropping the engine output. So we have to see the all hoses are well secured with the clamps. You can also see this kind of damaged hoses which needs to be replaced immediately. See how this vehicle is running with a such bad filter. Literally there will not be any air entry inside the engine. See this hose, this is cracked here. Here the clamp is loose, the hose has come out. Here the rubber hose is cracked. From here also dust will go inside. Then next is the intercooler. The job of this intercooler is dissipating the heat from the air and cooling the air, because once the air is coming from the turbocharger, the air gets heated and the volumetric efficiency drops there. So to cool that air, the intercooler is provided here. So if the fins of this intercooler is blocked like this, the heat dissipation will not be there. The function of this intercooler is lost. Sometimes the internal clogging also will be there because of various reasons. Even the internal clogging of the tubes also leads to the poor heat dissipation, causing again overheating of the engine. Then afterward, the another one is the caps. If this is the air filter assembly of a particular engine, this is the housing, this is the filter element, this is the cap. We must ensure these clamps, whatever is there, 3 or 4 depending upon the filter type, are well secured in the housing. Missing clamp, cracked clamp also leads to the dust entry. There is an instrument called filter clogging indicator is provided in the majority of the present generation vehicles. Once we observe that clogging indicator is indicating red, we have to open this filter carefully, clean the filter with a compressed air of mild pressure, and the cleaning should be done from the opposite direction of the air passing. Because suppose the air is passing from atmosphere to the engine, from outside to the inside, that is from this side to this side, the cleaning to be done in the opposite direction. So whatever dust is accumulated, this direction will be thrown outside. By mistake also, it should not be cleaned with compressed air in the direction of the airflow. What happens if we clean in the same direction? Whatever the dust particles are sticking on the paper will further stick to the paper. And also we should never use the high pressure to the cleaning, because usage of the high pressure causes to puncture or damage of the filter element. Use mild pressure, recommended pressure of air, normally clean from the opposite direction of the airflow. It should be done when we find the filter restriction indicator or filter clogging indicator. If the vehicle is not provided with the filter clog indicator, please follow the manufacturer's recommendation. And it is advisable to, once you clean this element, rotate 120 degrees and place the filter. So that position, if suppose if this is in this position, then just rotate 120 degrees, again do that one. Again clean when the indicator comes. Like this, it is recommended to clean maximum 3 times of any paper element. Then afterwards you have to throw the filter and use the new filter. Once the cleaning is done, you have to carefully install, place this filter element, checking this gasket, this side and this side there will be gasket which is going and touching this filter housing. Should ensure this gasket is clear, neat, there is no any damage, and also housing surface also there is no any dent. Place the filter element and again pull this cap. This is called the filter clog indicator, which is fitted somewhere in the air intake circuit. And you can see some machines, particularly construction machines, are fitted with cyclonic pre-filter. This is fitted on the filter housing. The purpose of this one is because of its design, air goes in the centrifugal swirling action, so the heavy particles are gathered here. Some machines are fitted with the twin filter elements, that is outer element and inner element. Only outer element has to be cleaned 3 times. Inner element should never be removed from the housing except during the replacement. Inner element should not be cleaned. The purpose of providing this inner element is, by any chance some dust particles pass through this outer element, same will be filtered in the inner element. This is the further fine size of the paper. Please go through this 3 pages notes. In case you have any queries, please contact me through the email. So, for the better life of the engine, it is essential to have the clean air and clean fuel with appropriate quantity.